Mike D'Antoni has recently informed the Houston Rockets that he will not be returning for next season as the head coach. But, as always, we want to know, was this a good move for Mike D'Antoni? And what does this move mean for the Houston Rockets going forward?
Let's eat.
What time is it? Game time!
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Edwin, aka King Jollof, and we're back. We have some good news today, guys. Listen, Mike D'Antoni has recently informed the Houston Rockets that he will no longer be returning to the team for next season. Now, listen, I get this move. I think it's a good move for the Houston Rockets, and I think it's a good move for Mike D'Antoni as well, too. They both need a head start, a new fresh start at that. And to be honest, I think that Mike D'Antoni, he will benefit from moving away from a team that he really couldn't do much with in terms of bringing them to the promised land, the finals. But let's start off with the positives first, right? So D'Antoni, in 4 seasons, led the Rockets to 173 to a 73 record. That's pretty good. On top of that, he was the most dangerous squad outside of the Golden State Warriors. If that really accounts for anything, I guess is there, if that really means anything to any fans, it's true. The Rockets were the biggest threat to the Warriors during that span of their reign. And I will also give him credit for this. He made a bold decision to switch to the small ball lineup when people were so against it. So many people were against the idea of a small ball lineup. But in most cases, well, I should say in some cases at least, it worked. It proved effective at times. But in my opinion, it's kind of iffy. I really didn't like the small ball lineup, even though it proved effective at times. Because, listen, the Rockets live and die by the three. They live on the perimeter, which means that they will shoot 20 to 40 threes a game. It doesn't matter to them. And that's good if they're hitting those threes every game, So they could be a really, really, really good offensive team when it comes to being, one of the best offensive teams in the NBA. If that's the case, then they're right up there if they're hitting those threes. And on top of that, without a big in the middle, that opens up the space for James Harden and Russell Westbrook to attack more in the rim. However, if they are not hitting those threes, that can pose as an issue. Because if they're cold one night, then they're a bad offensive team that night. They don't have other ways of scoring. I guess you can find ways to get James Harden the ball, James Harden and Russell Westbrook the ball and let them do what they do. But other than that, if they're off, then your whole team is off. There's no other means of scoring other than those two and the 3-point ball. So what that means is that once they find teams that are good against the 3-point shooting, one, teams who are great on the perimeter, that can pose as an issue. And two, once they find teams who have competent big men, then they will struggle and they will get exposed. Now, this is why the Rockets struggled to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series, because they had Steven Adams and he was just tearing them apart somewhat. And then after that, they got bounced by the Lakers in 5 because Anthony Davis. Listen, everybody thought that, oh my gosh, the Rockets got the first game and then they might give the Lakers a run for their money. And then everything just changes. Anthony Davis goes off and he shows why he's one of the best big men in the league. You're going against PJ Tucker. Sorry, not Chris Tucker. PJ Tucker. He's shooting over a chair at that. So that to me proved effective at times, but it can only last you for so long, which is why I thought that was kind of a really, really bold move. Because if it didn't work, then people would be going back and calling for his head, which they did kind of in a way. On top of that, Mike D'Antoni in 4 seasons failed to reach the NBA Finals. In 4 seasons, he failed to reach the NBA Finals. Now, I get it. You're going against one of the best teams in history, the Warriors. It's a tough Western Conference. But If you have the likes of James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Eric Gordon at that, Chris Paul when he had him, and you don't make it to the finals at least once, that's not good. That's pretty bad. Listen, if you have those 4 players I just mentioned and a good overall squad, and you don't make it to the finals at least once, see, this is what great coaches do. They find ways to defy the odds and get past teams such as this. You've seen it in a lot of cases, but this is why Mike D'Antoni will always be regarded as a good coach. He has offers from the Philadelphia 76ers and the Pacers, potentially. But, like I said before, he will always be regarded as a good coach, but not a great one, because he couldn't do what you need to do. The main thing you need to do as a coach, which is get to the finals and see what you have there. It's the playoffs. You need some luck on your side sometimes, and you need to find a way to scrap through some games. And he had multiple chances, and he didn't do that. As for the Rockets, they're going in a new direction. I like it. Listen, in my opinion, you need a fresh start because they're somewhat now in a rebuilding mode, if that makes sense. They don't have a new coach, a coach who is defensive minded, and that's very important. So first things first, you need to find a coach who is very, very, I can't stress this enough. Find a coach who is defensive minded, because as great as the Rockets can be in the future and as great of an offensive team they can be, if you don't have a defense to balance that out, you will never get to where you want to get to in life. So the Rockets this past season, they were one of the great offensive teams in history apparently. But that only shows for making it to the second round? Like, really? I mean, I get it. You're going against the number 1 seeded team, but you couldn't even make it interesting? 5 games and you're out? One of the best offensive teams, offensive rated teams in the NBA? Maybe? Come on. That to me says a lot. You live and die by the 3 at that too. That to me says a lot. So find some balance within the squad. That's very important. And once you do that, then the team will look towards competing again, because obviously you still have the likes of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. You still have Eric Gordon. But make no mistake, these guys are getting old. So right now, to be in a rebuilding mode somewhat, that's very important because they're running out of time. So you need to find a coach who can get the job done, and you need to find pieces to put around the Rockets squad, maybe like a couple more players who are defensive minded, not just 3-point shooters, who can guard, because the Rockets' biggest problem is guarding opposing teams. And forget the small ball lineup, like, please stop it. Whoever comes in for the Rockets next season, bring in a big who is competent and who could find ways to protect the rim, because this small ball lineup will only prove effective for so long. So the jury will be out. But by then, once you find a good defensive coach, then we'll be talking. But that's all that we have for you guys today. Make sure you guys go like, share, and subscribe to the video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Who will the Rockets sign for their next head coaching job? I don't know. I really don't have any people off the top of my head right now, but we'll see in the future. And also, was this a good move for Mike D'Antoni? Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. It's kind of iffy, but I'm going to give it to the Rockets. They ate this week because they're going in a new direction. They get a fresh start. And in my book, that's always a win. You get a fresh start to rebuild and recoup so that in the next couple of seasons or so, or maybe even as early as next season, you can find ways to build your squad and be competitive for the next upcoming season. So they're my winners today. Other than that, guys, just always remember, as I grow, we grow together. Stay tuned for the next video. Boop!